Hi everybody, I just had some thoughts I wanted to share here with you guys. You know, and I'm not going to be talking about, like driving or old people. I'm talking about little kids this time. What it is I actually have some thoughts on child rearing. Yeah, I don't have kids of my own. For some of you that, are going to immediately start bitching because I don't have kids, it's just some things that I wish parents would do with their kids is what I'm getting at. Because, on the outside looking in, I know it's not easy, okay? And I know it's a hard job being a parent, okay? I mean, I wouldn't know, but, I can tell that it's not easy. Because I can tell from the looks on some parents' faces, they're like, they are frazzled. You can tell. I mean, a blind person can see from the looks on their faces. It's that obvious in some instances. Because I've got a large family, and, from being around them enough, I know that some parents are so lazy that they don't even bother to, take care of their kids. But it goes the other way, too. They try too hard, and the kids end up either way getting, to be awful little heathens, or, spoiled to the point where, they don't want to do anything. I have a younger child in my life who's, well, she's a niece. Her name's Greta. She's about 2.5, 3 years old. That kid, she's so, like, not a talker. It's not even funny. I mean, when I was that age, I'm told that I could out-talk most 5-year-olds. I mean, I was saying things, doing things. I mean, my parents didn't have to worry about, me expressing myself to them. I mean, like, if I had to go to the bathroom, I'd go bathroom, or, I'd tell them I have to use the toilet. I'd come around and tell them I have to use the toilet, and I'd say toilet. I mean, I could talk plain to them, and they could understand me. Like, if I needed to, go to the bathroom, I'd be like, hey, Mom, I've got to go pee, I mean, I'd come right out and tell her, for example. Not that I have to go pee right this second, I don't. But, I mean, it's stuff like that that I'm talking about. That's Greta's, problem. I mean, she is like the second kid that I've ever known of, that, has not talked until they were older. The other child, he's a lot older now, and he's Meshach. But Meshach's kind of got an excuse for why he didn't talk until he was older. He's mildly mentally challenged, is the easiest way to explain it to you. That, and, his parents coddled him just way too much when he was a kid, when he was Greta's age. Seriously, I mean, Greta, her parents never made her talk, say, now what's that word, you know what it is, and say it, you can say it, Meshach, like I mentioned, on the other hand, he's got, like, a whole list of things wrong with him. I mean, for the most part, he's fine. I mean, he's a bit on the slow side, if you know what I mean. I mean, he's, like, right there, and he's, like, almost, and I mean almost normal. I mean, he's, like, he's not, like, retarded, like, as in, like, Forrest Gump retarded. He's, like, maybe a step or two above that. He's, like, a high-functioning, mentally challenged person. I mean, he's okay, like, I mean, recently he forgot that I had gotten married, because I'd seen him recently, and he's like we were talking about, well, I gotta go home to my I saw him, and I said, well, honey, it's great to see you. I gotta go home and get my husband. And he says, you're married? And I said, yeah. I was like, you were at my wedding, I'm like, how can you forget you were at my wedding, When I got married to Alex back in the day, you were there, and he's like, well, I forgot. And I said, it's okay, honey, it's okay. But, the crazy thing is Meshach is the youngest of 3 kids. And, Meshach's got 2 older siblings, and the 2 older siblings are as normal as you could ever possibly get out of the barrel. I mean, they just, they are the definition of normal kids, the older 2 kids are. And, I mean, they have the 2 older kids, Meshach's 2 older siblings have absolutely, positively no mental health issues that you could possibly ever imagine. I mean, they are, no joke, they are normal. I mean, they are the epitome of normal. I mean, it's amazing. And it's like, you see these two older siblings, and then you see Meshack, and you're like, what the hell? You know, you're like, dude, you know, like, these other two kids are fine. What's with this one? You know? I mean, not to sound mean or anything, but, I mean, seriously, it's like, you know, like, day and night difference between the three of them, you know? I mean, the two older ones are out, you know, doing their thing, and, you know, they're happy, healthy, and normal, you know, by all definitions. The younger one, Meshack, is like, you know, I mean, he's fine. I mean, like, you can give him stuff and explain it to him, and he's cool with it. But, you know, and you don't have to repeat it to him, you know, a whole lot. But, you know, there's times when you have to remind him of stuff because he forgets, you know. I mean, like, for example, you know, the fact that I was married, and I've been married to Alex for, you know, a few years now. And, I mean, granted, I don't have kids myself, but you're like, I found myself looking at him. I had to walk out and get in my car and sit there and go, oh my God, you know. I talked to, you know, one of my parents later that same day, and I said, you are not going to believe what Meshack said to me. And they're like, what he do now? And I'm like, and I told him, and I said, you know, I find myself going, you know, I know the kid was at the wedding, you know, but it just blows my mind that he forgot. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, hello, I'm wearing a wedding band, you know. That 9 times out of 10 means that unless I joined a convent and I became a nun, which I'm not Catholic, you know, it means that I got married, you know, hello. I mean, I'm like, you know, I was just like, oh dear God, you know, and I'm like, you know, that struck me as a shade weird, you know, and I'm like, well, considering it's Meshack, you know, you have to cut the kid a break, you know. I mean, he just, like, dear God, you know, whatever. But, you know, on the other hand, Greta, she is nothing like poor Meshack. I mean, Greta is just, she's like Meshack's two older siblings, extremely normal. I mean, the child is very, very smart, you know, for somebody her age. I mean, you talk to her, the kid understands you. I mean, it's like, you know, like you ask her, you know, like you go, where's your nose? And she goes, she won't say right here. She'll just go, she might say right here to you, but 9 times out of 10 she won't. And I'm like, you know, can you say right here? And point at her nose, and she just looks at me like, no. I'm like, one time I was really ticked at Greta, and I looked at her and I said, you know what, kid, you're lucky you're not my kid. I said, you're lucky you're not my daughter, little girl. I said, because you would be talking. There would be no two ways about it. Your little hiney would be having a lot to say, and it would be followed by, you know, you have better social skills. I mean, this kid, not only will she not talk, I mean, like as in, say, sock, ball, cat, dog, goat, shoe, inside, outside, upstairs, downstairs, you know, mom, dad, cat, dog. You know, she won't say, like, I gotta go pee, or, you know, anything like that. I mean, it's just, I find myself looking at the kid going, you know, it's like, you have to ask her, do you need to use the toilet? I mean, you'll be lucky if you can get her to say no. You know, and I just look at the kid, I'm like, it's like, I just want to look at the kid and say, why don't I spank you? Maybe it'll get you to say something, you know? Well, actually, I wouldn't spank her. But, you know, I look at her and I think, the hell is wrong with you, kid, you know? Other than you're lazy, you know? I mean, I really did. One time, I mean, I was sitting down in this one room at you know, an acquaintance's house, and the kid was there, Greta was there. She comes running in and looks at me. And I look at her and I say, what are you doing? And she just stares at me, you know, you would think the kid would have said, hi, you know, and I'm like, do you have something to say to me, kid? You know, and she just looks at me like, you know, I'm like, it's like she had, you know, she just ran in there to stare at me. I'm like, what? And the kid's like, you know, I'm like, I mean, I didn't say it like mean. I'm like, what, little girl? And she just, you know, she just looked at me and walked away. And I'm like, okay, kid, you know. And I'm like, I looked at her and I said, you came in here and you were going to say something to me. Now, spit it out, kid, you know. And she just looks at me like, you know, like she forgot. You know, she should have said, I forgot, you know. I'm like thinking, dear God, you know. I'm like, how is this kid related to me, other than the fact that her parents are lazy enough to not tell the child, Greta, you need to be talking. You know, it gets progressively funnier. Now, in the past few months, I won't say how many months, but recently, Greta got herself a baby sister, which means mom and dad had another baby. And, you know, mom had the child, you know, by the normal method. And the baby sister's name is Maddie. Maddie is just adorable. I mean, and this kid is smart. I mean, Maddie's normal too. I mean, and Maddie is so smart. I mean, she'll look at you, like, you'll talk to her and you go, hi baby, how's my little buddy? And she'll just look right at you like, I am just fine, I can't talk to you, but, you know, and she'll just look right at you. She knows that you're talking to her. She's completely normal. I mean, I remember the night the kid was born, Maddie cried something horrible when that nurse gave her a bath. She cried like she was being tortured. And I looked at Greta and Maddie's parents. I said, well, I know one thing for sure. At least we know Maddie's lungs work just fine, thank you. And you'll know when that kid's crying. Kind of hard to miss it, you know. She's got a set of lungs on her, I know that much. And they work perfectly fine, thank you. And it was so funny. Afterwards, the nurse got done, wrapped the baby up in a blanket. The baby just looked down and was like, thank you. You know, I mean, if the kid could have said something, she would have been like, thank you. But it's so funny. Now that, you know, Maddie's in the picture, Greta has really started trying, and I mean like trying to talk a whole lot more. I mean, and she's trying to say, like, you know, baby, and, you know, this and that, and she wants to talk. And I'm like, look at this kid going, okay. You know, I mean, I'm like, hello, you know, what's been the hold up with this kid? You know, I mean, other than the fact that, like I said, Greta has been, well, just too lazy to get her act together and actually attempt to talk to somebody. And I'm not talking like as in, blah, 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 kind of thing, you know, like baby words or gibberish, you know. I'm talking like as in ball, sock, shoe, cat, dog, up, down, left, right. And you know, it gets funny. I tried to sing the Hokey Pokey to Greta, and she gave me this dirty look, and I was, you know, doing the hand movements with her, and she walked away from me. She went, ah! And walked away from me. And I'm like, you know, it's times like this that make me not want to deal with the kid, you know. I mean, personally, I'm glad I don't see the kid very often. I really am. I mean, to be completely honest. And I'm not saying that to be cruel. It's just because Greta's the kind of kid that gets on your nerves after a while. You know, and she won't talk to you. She won't. She'll just run up, look at you, and just walk away. You're like, you know, I'm like, kid, you need to either come up and say something to me like, hi, you know, or just not come up to me at all, because I'm the kind of person that I'll make you talk to me. You know, if you walk in and you stare at me, I'm going to go look at you and say hi, and I'll expect you to talk, you know, or just don't come to me at all. You know, and I'm that way with Greta. I mean, that's just how I am. I mean, and what's worse, the thing about Greta, is she doesn't even try to call things by, like, their proper name. Like, if she sees the family cat, for example, you know, she'll call it meow meow and point at it. She won't say cat, or she won't say, you know, cat. I have some younger cousins that when they were Greta's age, like, I was holding my now 16-year-old cousin in my arms, and I looked at her and I said, do you see the dog outside? And she had just literally turned 2, like, 3 weeks, or no, like a month and a half prior. I take that back. A month and a half prior, she looked at me and goes, dog. Just like that. Just like that, she looks at me and goes, dog. And I go, where's the dog? And she pointed. Goes, dog. And she said it. But Greta won't do that. Greta will go, meow meow, and point at the cat. I mean, she knows that it's a cat. I go, can you say cat? And she goes, she just looks at me, and I'm like, come on, you can say cat. You know how to say it. And she won't. You know, I mean, it's like, you look at her and go, kid, you know the word for cat, why don't you say it? You know, it's like I overheard her go to her mom, Greta go to her mom and go, cat, and point right at the cat. She'll also call the cat by its name, and I'm like looking at her going, you can call the cat by its name, but you can't say cat. You know, what's going on here? You know, it's like, you know what the cat's name is. You can call the cat by its name, but you can't say cat. You just won't say cat. You know, not to me anyway. I mean, like, kid, what is wrong with you? I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, and she is stubborn. I mean, she is the most stubborn little kid I think I've ever seen. Outside of her dad. I mean, and let's face it, Greta's dad is younger than me. You know, I'm the older. You know, I mean, Greta's dad is one of my siblings, and he was a stubborn kid. When we were kids growing up, oh my God, he was stubborn. Dear God, that kid was stubborn. And I've said Greta takes after her dad. She's got that stubborn streak. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm like, dear God, you know. But one thing, though, on a different note, I've had a long conversation with Alex about this. If he and I ever have kids, if we ever do, like, I want to make sure our kids talk. I mean, I will actively encourage them to talk, and I will make them say words. I mean, I'll talk to them and say, you say cat, and they should be able to go cat. I mean, even if they call a dog. Like, my 16-year-old cousin's got a 13-year-old sister. I'd been, you know, down in the holler, and I'd come home, and I accidentally said dog. So the 13-year-old, back when she was Greta's age, went dog, and I'm like going, dear God, what did I do to this kid? You know, and she was walking around, she'll point at the dog, go dog, you know, and I'd die laughing. I'm like, dear God, you know, it's like, they go, who taught the kid to call a dog a dog? I go, that was unfortunately me. I was having a very southern moment. I was having a very southern moment when I taught her that. And I go, wasn't that deliberate on my part? I was like, but, you know, that was an oops. You know? I mean, seriously, I was cracking up laughing. I was like, that was an oops. You know, but unfortunately, on the other hand, Greta can't do that. But, you know, like I was going to say, Alex and I, you know, looked at each other and said, you know what? If we ever have kids, we're not going to do, you know, like what Greta's parents done with Greta. We're going to have our kids talking. You know, they're going to take after their mother, and they're going to be talking. You know, they're going to come out talking. You know, I mean, seriously. My father has once told me that the pediatrician came in, the town pediatrician, looked at my mom and said, what the hell did you do when you were pregnant? That baby's all but in there walking and talking to us. You know, she's trying to communicate with us. She's, you know, actively going, you know, like waving at us and making eye contact and cooing and making noise, you know. Like, nothing out of the ordinary, you know, but, I mean, it just gets me, you know. I could tell, though, Maddie's that way. She'll look right at you, and she'll like, you know, try to communicate with you. You know, I mean, she's, like I said, Maddie is a very smart little baby, and she's cute to boot. I mean, she just, you know, you just whip the child up and go, we love you so much, Maddie, and go, right on that child's face. I mean, seriously, Greta used to be that way. Not anymore. That's terrible. But I tell you what, though, Greta, and this is cute, Greta will run up to Maddie and try to talk to Maddie. She'll go, hi, and, you know, and then kiss Maddie on the head. You know, I mean, it's just, that's cute. I mean, and Greta gets all dysfunctional if she can't see Maddie. It's just, it is cute. You know, I mean, but it's much to Greta's credit, and I know it's been kind of hard on the kid up to this point. Now, with Maddie in the picture, you know, Greta has actually tried and made a concerted effort to try to talk now. I mean, she's really, really trying now. I mean, she's really making, you know, a concerted effort to communicate. Like, she'll go, you know, she'll try to say, you know, she'll like, she's trying to say, where's the baby, and, you know, or, train, you know, or, you know, ball, like, play with the trains, or, something, but Greta's going to be 3 soon, in a very short period of time, and the part that I'm looking for with her turning 3 is, later on this year, and I'm not sure when this is going to happen, so I can't say for sure, but Greta's going to start preschool. Now that's going to be fun. I don't know who it's going to be more fun for. Me, because, I get to hear about, because it's going to be an interesting situation for Greta and her parents. Just because I know where Greta isn't saying as of right now, and of course this might change between now and when they actually put her little butt in preschool finally. Greta might actually end up talking plain, like, saying ball, sock, cat, dog, shoe, or saying full sentences like, go outside, or go pee, or, eat cake, or, I gotta go pee-pee, or toilet, or something, and it's just, I hope that those people that own the preschool that Greta's gonna end up at just really run that kid backwards through a meat grinder, because, it's, well, not literally, but, I hope they really give Greta grief over that. She hasn't officially started talking yet. And I hope they also force her to, talk. They're going to look at her and probably say, Greta, you need to be talking. And they're going to make her talk, or they're not going to give her stuff. They're not going to guess what the kid wants. They're going to say, now, what's this called? And she's not going to know what to tell them. I mean, I know that Greta and her parents have got a long road in front of them, considering that, if they're going to actually put Greta in preschool, they're going to have that kid talking. And I mean, like, Major League talking, because, Greta's going to be up shit creek, to be honest with you, excuse my language, when she gets into preschool, because the other 3-year-olds that she's going to be around are going to be able to talk, and talk plainly, where she's going to be still talking baby jabber, basically, and she's not going to be able to say sentences. They're going to be able to out-talk her. And, the preschool people are going to be like, what's wrong with your kid that she can't talk? They're going to probably, as one of my coworkers said, who has a child that's younger than Greta, who can, the younger child can talk a blue streak, and, say all kinds of things, and talk really plainly, and she's, like my coworker said, she wouldn't be shocked if Greta ends up in speech therapy, and I thought, well, I don't know if she is or not, but, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would be, but such is life. If that's what happens to Greta, that's what happens. But, I mean, it's like, it's like, seriously, it just really gets me that this kid hasn't tried to talk before now, I mean, it's just, I mean, and it, one of those things where I feel bad for Maddie, because she's got a sister who's, been a slacker for the past 2.5 years on getting, stuff done up, of course, I'm going, not to sound cruel, but, I am going to laugh my butt off when I find out that Greta, said to her, and, that Greta's parents have stuff said to them, because Greta's not talking. I mean, unless she, of course, in the meantime, has started actually yammering away in something that resembles English, because the child's supposed to speak English. Of course, another thing is, Greta hasn't had any real exposure to other people outside of, like, her parents, Maddie the baby, and, like, Maddie's grandparents. Greta's not around me very much, or Alex, my husband. And Greta, I mean, it's obvious that Greta's got personal skill problems, because, up until recently, Greta has treated Alex like he's the Antichrist. I'm serious. I mean, and it's bad. I mean, and it used to piss Alex off to no end. He hated going over there and dealing with Greta, because he knew how she'd act. I mean, and it's just recently, like I said, Alex did something to Greta to make her behave. You know, he looked at her and he started making stupid noises with her, and she thought it was funny. Of course, you know, 2-year-olds think that those kind of noises that Alex was making was hysterical, and that loosened it up. She, you know, Greta started acting like Alex was the funniest person on the face of this earth, and started laughing and playing with him. I was glad. He was glad. Alex was thrilled. You know, 2.5 years into her life, all of a sudden, I'm sorry, I'm being backwards. Greta acts like Alex is just, you know, the bomb. You know, and like, after Alex and I left, where we were when we saw Greta, we looked at each other and said, well, it's about time. You know, I mean, seriously. I mean, I feel sorry for Greta because, in a way, because it's like, it's going to be, you know, hard for her because she's going to have to deal with the other kids in that preschool, and she's not going to be able to handle it. You know, it's going to be, I feel more sorry for the workers because Greta has one of those things where she's not been forced to deal with other people her own age, plus she hasn't been forced to deal with her mom and dad or her grandparents not being in the picture, you know, on a regular basis. And as far as like social skills go, this is how bad Greta is on that end. You know, she recently embarrassed the dog shit out of her dad one day in the local grocery store where they live. And what Greta did was she was sitting in the shopping cart, and, you know, she's there with her dad, and these teenagers come walking down the aisle in the other direction from where they're headed, because they're going this way and teenagers are going this way. Greta pointed at them, screeched at them, and her dad was like, dear God, you know, and I'm like, you know, this is your fault, you know, this is your kid, you know, why didn't you have this kid out in public, you know, beforehand? You know, because seriously, I mean, this kind of crap could be prevented if you have her out in public more. I mean, and it's like, you know, having her around people. It's not like, and I'm serious, Greta's mom is a germaphobe. I mean, she really is. I've called her a germaphobe, not to her face, mind you, but to somebody else. I've called Greta's mom a germaphobe because she's so, baby mama is so afraid of the girls being around people and catching a cold. Yeah, and I'm like, you know, one of the girls I talked to at work who's got 2 kids of her own, and one of them is younger than Greta, said that, you know, the coworker said that she had her oldest kid out, you know, like, she was out and about with that little guy, like, the day she got out of the hospital with him. I mean, she said she was, you know, running around doing stuff. I mean, not like she was trying to get the kid a cold or something, but she said she had places to go and things to do, and just, you know, was out in public with him, not hiding in their house. You know, I mean, it would be one thing if it had snowed like 5 feet or something, you know, keep the kid in the house for a while, but, you know, something else entirely when, you know, your kid, you know, you need to get out and go do stuff and you're not hiding out, you know, which is what Greta's parents have done with both Greta and Maddie. You know, and it's like, what I think is going to be funny is, like my one coworker said to me recently, she told me she would not be shocked if Greta and or Maddie ends up with a really bad head cold, you know, come this next winter. You know, seeing that it's, you know, the middle of March now. Yeah, and I looked at her and I said, I wouldn't be shocked either. You know, it's just because, you know, mom's such a germaphobe, you know. It's like, you know, how's your kid supposed to build up an immunity if you're hiding out? You know, I mean, seriously. I mean, it's just bad, but, you know, it's not like I'm trying to be hard, you know, or anything on baby mama or anything, or Greta or Maddie. Maddie's a good kid. Greta needs some help, their personal skills, but, you know, and some other thing, and talking. But, I mean, you know, it's like I said at the beginning of this video, I realized that being a parent isn't easy. You know, I mean, not that I'm one myself, but I've seen parents struggling with kids. I mean, you know, it's not an easy job by any stretch. You know, I'd be stupid to say that it was, you know. It was easy. But seriously though, I really truly wish that, parents with kids like Greta would actually, have stuff said to them. Like, okay, what's wrong with you that you haven't actually worked with your kid enough to where, your kid actually is talking, Because, I mean, I've known lots of kids and lots of people, that when they were 2, 3 years old, they were talking pretty plainly. I mean, and it's amazing. I mean, but anyway, I'll stop here for right now because I've rattled on long enough, and you guys have a good evening.